Welcome to Bleav in Chargers as we are in the midst of the voluntary portion of the program this offseason with Lorenzo Neal, the great Lorenzo Neal, of course, all-decade team, all-pro, one of the best to ever do it, one of the most beloved Bolts in Charger history. Always appreciate you being here every week, Lo, as we knock this out. And we got today, as we're recording this, it's May 29th. So today, Wednesday, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, all OTAs. They'll do it again next week, and then we get the mandatory vet mini camp. The week after that, if I had to project, I think we'll start to hear from head coach again, Justin Herbert, those guys, Joey Bosa, as we kind of make our way toward the end of this, and they can maybe give a little bit more insight into what it's been like here with the new coaching staff. But again, a thank you to all of you for downloading, for watching, whether it's on YouTube, your preferred podcast platform that you download from. If you can leave a rating, that's great. If you can leave a comment, a review, that's even better. And if you can tell your friends, boy, would that be something. But thank you all for continuing to support us. YouTube, all of that, all across the Bleav network. Thank you so much. But Lo, good to be back and good to have some fresh content as we got another round of these voluntary OTAs. And man, we said it last week, say it again. Attendance has been stellar.
And you know what? It's interesting, Matt. You talk about the voluntary, quote, mandatory OTAs. Guys, I remember playing and it's like, the OTAs and guys like, oh, well, are you going to come today? Like, yeah. Are you going to come next week? Yeah. And the guys are trying to find out who's not coming because they're pretty much mandatory, and especially when you have a new coach in. I guarantee you're getting a lot of participation. I'd be shocked if guys are not there because you got a new system, a new coach, a new regime in town. You want to make some impressions. And I don't think guys, even if they had holidays or had vacations scheduled, they're like, you know what, babe? I don't think I'm going to go on that vacation. We got a new coach. I think it's changed the plans. We'll wait till end of July when we have that month of dead time to maybe take our trip.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I was talking, I was out there today and Daniel Popper from The Athletic and I were chatting and we were both kicking around. We're like, because, J.K. Dobbins wasn't there. Gus Edwards wasn't there. Will Dissly wasn't there. It was like 5 people, total. There were some guys that were working off to the side. Junior Colson was still working off to the side. Chris Rumpf, Ben Mason, all working off to the side. But we kind of said, unless you're a superstar that just doesn't want to be there, like, how do you not show up for this? Like, I have not seen Gus Edwards much at all. I don't know if he's been to any. I don't want to like cut him short and say he hasn't been there at all, but like we were trying to figure out, is that you signed Gus Edwards and now you've signed, J.K. Dobbins and then you draft Kamani Vidal? Like, is he upset but like we were saying, like, who wouldn't, it's a new coaching staff. Like, why would you not be out here?
Yeah. And that's interesting. When you talk about that type of guy that, Gus not there, unless you never know, money. There could be a personal family issue, a baby being born, or something happened, or already had something scheduled. So sometimes that's usually a reason, especially because you would want to be there. Who wouldn't want to be there for a new regime, new coaching staff, a new system? I know Gus comes from Baltimore, but it's still different. Right. And you want to just have everyone there because you want everyone on the same page and show that everyone went through what you're going through. So I guarantee the guys that are not there, I guarantee they got some excuse reason for not being there because it's just usually not normal.
Yeah, and also it's like, you heard the names I mentioned. That was it. Those were the only people that weren't there. So who is there? Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Justin Herbert. Like everyone's there. Rashawn Slater. Like all of the superstars, the all pros are there, and it is odd. But again, we've seen Will Dissly at other OTAs. So perhaps, like you said, it's 4 guys. There could be excused absences built in there. Maybe it's just one day. They're back tomorrow, whatever it may be. But yeah, it's for the most part, we're looking at full participation. It's a 2-hour. We started at noon. Just after noon, it got rolling. The guys came out. The coaches burst out of the facility with a ton of enthusiasm as they sprint to their positions. It's a real production. And then, bang, they are immediately, like, there is no hesitation. So they're right into it. They do their stretches. And then as soon as the stretches are done, it's like, bang, here we go. 7-on-7s, 11-on-11s. And they were going through. Oh, yeah. And that they did a little bit of a period of that. And then they kind of broke off into their position groups. work through some drills, and then more 7-on-7s, more 11-on-11s. And then you'll love this. They close with about 15 minutes of strength training. So you got 2 hours practice and they're going, it's nonstop. There's not a lot of standing around. I think there was one hydration period. And then at the end, they've got medicine balls. They've got sleds with, I think, 3 plates. I think I saw 3 plates in the belt. They got
Yeah.
those big, I don't even know. I'd never seen them before. It basically replaces the tire, right? It basically
Okay.
replaces
Yeah.
the giant tire that
Yeah.
the D line is flipping over,
Right.
and
Right.
these guys are just rotating from station to station. And I'll give you one guess. Who do you think was in the middle of the sleds when they got started
Harbaugh.
first?
Did I get that? How do I read your mind? I mean, come on. Harbs is right there in the middle. Let's go, guys. Harbaugh, get your old butt out of there.
He's strapping his belt up, and he's sitting there pushing it back, and he's just right in the middle of it all, man. Just taking his 3 plates, his 135 pounds worth of sled, and
Yeah.
pulling it backwards at 60 years old.
Wow, he's out there doing it, huh? You
Yeah.
gotta love Harbs.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta love. Was other coaches doing it too, or just
No,
coach?
just him. Just him. I mean, I think in the other coaches, defense, they were running the drills and making sure guys weren't running into each other. And, I don't know what the goal was, if it was a race or if they had to be timed or how it worked, if they were counting. But yeah, Harbaugh straps in, goes over to the medicine ball. He's carrying the medicine ball, and like he's in the middle. Dude, you can just tell he loves it. He loves it.
Man, that's freaking awesome. When you watch practice, was it like energy? When you're talking about just going out there, stretching, and then it's 11 on 11. So no really individual drills, the warm up guys are just going, huh? Sprinting right away. That's interesting to hear that perspective. Usually, it's usually okay after stretch, break up individual guys, go through their bags, go to drills, getting this stuff going, getting the blood flowing, and then you usually go to like team and take off and do that. Some one-on-one or the air ball. The one-on-ones going down. Pat and go, all those other things. But wow, I didn't know that the guys are just going out there and it's like, okay, 0 to 60 right away.
They fired off, man. Like they stretched, and perhaps I don't think I'm mischaracterizing it though. I was chatting with a lot of people and some Chargers folks and stuff,
Right.
so maybe I missed it. But from what I remember, they're stretching, and then I remember looking up and be like, "Ooh, they're going now."
Let's go.
And then it was real short, and then they broke into their drills and kind of
Okay.
running behind some blinders and trying to then track the ball immediately when you pop out and try to secure that. But there was a lot of teamwork. There was a lot of team drills, a lot of and a lot of Herbert working with those receivers, and then O-line, and you know how it is. Then O-line goes with O-line, running backs running through their reps and stuff. But yeah, a little bit of a bummer not to see Dobbins and Edwards today. Instead, I got to see, I'll tell you, man, Kamani Vidal is and I know anybody that's small, you're going to immediately think of one of the greatest super small backs in the history of football, and Darren Sproles. But I will say this: Vidal may be the shortest back in the room, but he's probably the widest. He's probably
Really?
the widest. He's got that Darren Sproles bottom to him now that
Wow.
has got some power in it and some strength in it. He's got a little shimmy as he was working his way, through those drills and through those holes.
Very quick in and out. You can just watch his quick feet. He's got a lot. He's got something to him. Are they in helmets and just shells today, or just
helmets?
and shells?
Helmets, shells, pants, the whole thing. I think Khalil was the only one in it's funny. Khalil always practices in this specific pair of sweatpants, that look like they're like Lululemons or something. And other than that, though, everyone's in uniform pants. But Khalil's always out there in those sweats. He loves those things, man. But he's still going full bore, man.
Right. Wow. When you're talking about, I know we're talking about the defensive line. I'm looking at a lot of people, and they're talking about, hey, Chargers won in the bottom half as far as against the run. They end up top 6 in sacks. So when you're thinking about the defensive line, I know you said you saw the coach out there. And what is something that sticks out to you, especially with the front that struggled, especially against the run last year?
Yeah, Coach Elston talked to us after he was the coach that got to do the presser today, and we've said this before. I love that Jim Harbaugh lets these guys do this. Nobody else really does. It's always just the head coach messaging. Maybe you get a coordinator here or there, but it's kind of fun to get all these guys. So he's been with Michigan these last 3 years. So he was there with Aiden. He
Yep.
said he's kind of more focused on the interior guys. So he's talking quite a bit about, Boygby, who they just drafted, and how they're trying to get him to come along a little more, work in progress, more of a run guy right now than a pass rusher. But then, the pass rushing ability of Morgan Fox, name check Tito Abonia, who was playing really well that rookie year before he got hurt up in San Francisco, whatever week that was, like week 9 or
Right.
10. I can't remember that rookie year, and just really kind of struggled to get back after that. Even last year seemed like there was still some sort of effects from that injury that had kind of, stunted his growth that you might have liked to have seen in his second year. But, the thing that he said that stuck out most to me is just working for Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, and how he coordinates. Shoot, let me grab my notes, because I remember I wrote it down. He said that he sees it from the back end better than any coach he's ever worked with. That because he started in the secondary, he's just like, the way that he sees defense and he schemes against offense. He said he is the best game day coordinator that he's ever worked for. And, Elson's been around forever, so it's not like this is his first rodeo. So, just kind of talked about how in game, they go in, they think they know what the scheme's going to be and what their plan is, but that always changes. They got coaches too, and they got schemes too. And just kind of pointed out that Minter does a really good job of figuring out, what's the question I got to answer now? And now what answer do I have to come up with? And he just does a very good job of coming up with, with answers to problems that appear, throughout the entire game, every series after the half, whatever, maybe in a 2-minute, whatever it is, feels really good about what he has to offer on game day.
Well, that's good, because that this season's about being able to say, can the Chargers improve? And we saw last year against the run, third down, one of the teams that just really didn't do it like we'd like to see and we're accustomed to. So, but you see a team that also the top 6 in sacks. So we know that they were able to put a lot of sacks, get a lot of sacks. They were in the top 10 as far as that. And then when you look at the record, you're like, man, how did it go that bad? Because you couldn't stop the run. You couldn't convert on, get team off the team on fill and third down. So there's a lot of things you'd like to see this defense do. And I know another got to be an issue besides Samuel, who is really in that secondary. And I know it's early. You went out to camp. I get it's OTAs. You're not going to see much. But was there any sparks? Was anybody, the young guys? You got 3 young DBs. Guys are fighting, or you just think right now it's just too early? Because a lot of people are going to want to know, it's just too early to see what the secondary is going to look like.
Yeah, it's early. I mean, it was Asante, like the starting corners were Asante and Christian Fulton on the outside. Ja got the start in that first period of 11 on 11s at nickel. So that is what they're working off of, right now. I think Asante had a pick. The ball was tipped. I can't remember who tipped it. It might have been Finley, who was playing safety, who tipped it. And Asante got a pick out there. So good to see, and Asante's look, that was never his problem. He finds the ball, man. Asante, has got ball production for sure. So good to see a continuation of that. But that's how they had it lined up today. Bud Dupree name checked Christian Fulton, pointed out they played together in Tennessee, thinks he's a great player. One of the reasons why he came here. He thinks Fulton's in line to have a big year, and just kind of needs to be able to stay healthy and stay out there. And I'll say this, when you're looking, it's funny when you just kind of see the group huddled around.
Right.
And you know how it is. Body types always stand out, right? You see Christian Fulton's got good size. He's got good, he's a thicker bodied corner. But then you just see Cam Hart, and you're like, my God, look at that dude. He's like a legit 6'3" trying to play corner, which is wild, because he's he's a head taller, it seems like, than those other guys when he's standing out there. I think he got burned by Quentin on a play on a sideline out that I think he might have bid on. But so yeah, I don't know how that's going to shake out. I don't know if they're still waiting for the corner market, because they signed someone today. They signed Alex Leatherwood today, former first-round pick, former All-American out of Alabama, to just bolster the depth in that O-line room. I know he's been quite a disappointment, for the Raiders, considering where he was drafted, and he flamed out after I think just a year. Bears tried to make it work. They did. And I think, my read, just kind of getting off track here, Lo, my read into that is, just think about how Jim Harbaugh plays football. There's 6 O-line. Sometimes there's 7 O-line out there. So you're going to need bodies. And so my guess is let's bring him in, and can he fit in the top 7? Because we may have 7 guys out there at the same time. And if he's better than our 7th O-lineman right now, then let's bring him in and get him some neighbors and some friends and see if he can make it work.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of times, what guys do, and what a lot of coaching staffs do, they bring in these guys that you say, "Hey, why it doesn't seem like it doesn't make sense on paper?" Because you see so many guys, you're like, "Hey, look, there's not enough seats." But like you just alluded to, when you're playing with 6 and sometimes 7 offensive linemen, someone's bound to get injured. And so if you already
Right.
have a guy that's going to go through OTAs with you, going to go through training camp with you, going to get some snaps with you, even if you release that guy and maybe no one else wants him, at least you know there's some guys that know your system because you know how quick guys go down. So now you have some guys that you say, look, these are these question guys that we know maybe they're not as good, but now we know that they know our system because they're going to be here for several months to learn these things. So if something happens early, at least we got someone that we can plug in there until we get the other guys back.
Yeah, and I think it's a great time to remind you about BetOnline, the number one source for all your summer sports this season, the MLB, golf, NBA, NHL playoffs, the latest stats, news, scores, everything is available for you to follow from your favorite teams, plus the latest odds, all the lines. You get the latest team matchups, player props, odds on just about every sport out there. So get over to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. To me, what it signals, Lo, is it's making good on what Joe Ortiz said was going to be important all season long, and that is, and I hope that Alex Leatherwood doesn't take this the wrong way, but churning the bottom of the roster. Hey, we got to keep, if we're gonna sign a guy, and if he doesn't work out, we're sign another guy, and if he doesn't work out, we're gonna sign another, and we're just gonna keep turning it over, like what Pete Carroll and John Schneider did in Seattle when they had like 100 transactions in their first year, just trying to find who could just keep swinging. Swing if you miss, no big
Yep.
deal. Swing if you miss until you get that connection. I think that's kind of what that sort of transaction suggests to me is, is he
No
a
question.
top 5 O lineman? Probably not. But if he's number 8, he's going to stick on the roster. If he's number 7, he's going to probably play. So that's to me what that suggests for people that are like saying, "Oh, when he was a Raider, you guys were piling on what a terrible player he was." I mean, he got humiliated when I can't remember
Yeah.
who it was, if it was Bosa or Mack, but oh my gosh, I think it was. And maybe that might have been the Bosa, Melvin Ingram. I don't know. Anyway, I do remember him getting absolutely destroyed in a game the Chargers played and just
It
wrecked
took his
it.
heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took it hard.
Yeah.
That was bad. And I think that certain guys play better in better systems, and we got to see kind of what Harbs is going to do and what they're going to do because there's a lot of guys that can run block that really can't pass block. There's a lot of guys that play well in a system that can trade block, ace block. They're better with the combination when they're hip to hip and foot to foot. So there's so many different guys that do so many different things differently, and that sometimes if you're like New England, just do your job. The guys that fit the system the right way and guys that maybe don't even run a 4.5. And you look at New England when the years when they were winning championship, it was just guys in the right place. It wasn't that they had a bunch of superstars. It's those guys that are just in the right place, knowing what to do. You look at last year, when Harbs won the national title. Yes, he has some players, but were they the superstars in college? Were they these guys that you look and say, "Oh my God, I'm dying to have that guy"? He had guys in the right place at the right time, understanding the philosophy and understanding the system. And that's what sometimes fans get so caught up in. God, we got to have a superstar. Hell, you remember the Chargers year. We had lights out, LT, Antonio Gates, so many stars. And then you're like, okay, didn't produce a Super Bowl. Why? Because you can have stars, but if you don't have the right continuity and the right chemistry and the right buy-in and the guys that understand what they have to do, it doesn't mean anything. You totally understand that.
Yeah. 100%. And I think so much of that too is, who is added and what do they bring? And like today we had Bud Dupree in the presser and, that's a big signing, that coming out of the draft. They did not get an edge rusher. They got an interior lineman in a Boygby, but they did not get someone to play the edge. They got they got an off-ball linebacker in Junior Colson. So like they had to find and fill that spot, and to get someone that had the kind of production he had last year. Just a few things that he got into about why he was so productive last year. He just said, look, being smart, I'm older now. When I first got in the league, it was just grind, do everything, work every day. And he's like, finally last year, I sort of realized how important recovery was, and just kind of talked to my coaches about making sure maybe I'm spending more time recovering than I am working, just to make sure that I'm good to go for 17 games. And he's like, that was a big difference. It was really the first year that I paid a lot of attention to my body and to recovery, and recognizing how important that was for me to still be able to get out there. And he said also accepting that he's a third down guy. He's like, I accept it. He goes, for the first, you get in here and you want to be an every down bat player and all that sort of. He goes, and then you realize, okay, I'm older. I need to be available for 17 games. How do I do that? Take care of my body and be a third down rusher. That's what they want me to be. Don't push back against it. Go be it and go do great at it. And he was. Right. He said he came here because of the coaches, of the players, to be in that rotation with Mac and Bosa, obviously. And also he said, Christian Fulton was a reason why that they were pals when they were on the Titans defense together. So that's a big addition, because it addresses a need, and it addresses it with a good veteran player. And even Tuli, who was also available today for media, he pointed out how he's like, yeah, Khalil's doesn't talk a lot. When he does, you listen. And he said, but like Bud is like, now he came in and he's just like juice. He's like, he's just a guy with energy. Like every rep is like, oh, good spin or good mood, nice hands. And he's like, it's brought a little bit of juice to the group, which is kind of good.
Bosa and Mac, we know they can get
two
out
of the best.
Two of the best.
Yeah.
And still two of the best. But do you see those guys, or do you see someone in there that can really come in there and say, I'm going to constrict this hole. I'm going to set it hard edge. I'm going to turn everything, funnel everything in the inside. Is that there on that roster, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think just personally, and you can push back, you know a lot better than I do. I almost feel like that, Joey, he might be the best in the league. Like when he's healthy, in terms of an all-around end, can set the edge, makes the tackle when it comes at him while being engaged by an O-lineman, and get after the quarterback. When he's right, he's so good at it, Khalil, I think through his career has always been great at it. He's obviously at an advanced age. You get a little bit worried about it there. I know there were some moments last year where, some big plays came out of that, and you wonder if that's just getting a little bit tougher for him, at where he's at in his career. But, Tuli is strong as a bull. I mean, he is as strong as a freaking ox. And he said this, we kind of asked, he said, it was weird. It was the first time he had a whole off season. He didn't know what to do. He's like, I kind of went on vacation for a minute, and then I was just like, all right, what do I do now for the next few months? And he's like, so I just worked on what I thought I needed to get better at. And he's like, I just worked on get off, really, worked on get off. So I think that I do think they can. And I think this scheme is going to help as well. Just the way they attack, the confusion that they create, the, sort of it's, and I know that's sort of kind of what Brandon Staley said, right? He wanted a ton of pre-snap movement and trying to just keep the offense thinking and not knowing what they were going to do. And it just didn't work out. But, that's kind of what Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter have done, both at the pro and college level. They have kind of done this, pre-snap disguise, and you got 6 guys on the line of scrimmage, and you have no idea which 4 or if 5 or if all 6 or if 3 or 2 or who's coming and who's going where. So they've done a lot of that in the past. So I think that always helps.
And like you alluded to, your time, like I know Bosa, he's slippery. It's hard to block him one-on-one. He knows how to get skinny. He knows how to take away a shoulder. They do that unbelievable. So I understand with that aspect that these guys can set the edge. But how much do you think it's wearing them, as far as the age, as far as durability, as far as being able to play 1, 2, 3 downs and then want that pass rush? That's the thing that that's what I'm leery of these guys going out there and playing. Of course they can do their thing, but is that what you need from these guys first, second, third down? And do you need these guys playing 40, 50 snaps a game? That's the question, because we know what they can do. If you say, hey, one play, give me Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, of course. But is it the durability in the long haul? So that's what I'm wondering. Do they have that?
Yeah, I think Tuli's a big part of that too, Lo, like to me, because remember, they played, the 3 of them. I think we've talked about this before. The 3 of them only played together, like it was something like 50 snaps, maybe like 48 snaps. And I think they ended up with like, I don't remember. It sounds crazy, but I feel like it's somewhere between 8 and 10 sacks on those plays. Tuli is a wrecker. I mean, he wrecks offenses. So many of those sacks that Khalil had last year were I'd give the hockey assist to Tuli. Those are a product of him and he can play up and down the line, and Joey can do a little bit of that too. You
He
can
can.
put Joey
He can.
inside of Bud and Bud's on the outside, and they can play those games. I also think the other thing is just, to me, the linebacker level the last couple years, the last year especially, it's just not been good. And I think you're going to see a drastic change this year at that level of the defense with Dayon and his strength and athleticism, and with Denzel in the rotation, especially if Junior Colson's going to be run. I just feel like you've got so much more strength and athleticism at that level. Eric Kendricks was a phenomenal linebacker. It's just hard to be that old and play that position right now, and
Yeah.
and Kenneth Murray always was just a tick slow,
That's slow.
and just in just reading and reacting. And so I think you're going to see a big difference at that level. And if you're keeping Derwin up in there as close to the ball as possible, as opposed to playing him up high and playing him outside and playing him nickel, and look, you want to give Derwin Travis Kelce when you're playing the Chiefs and just say, that's your guy, go. That's all we care about. Where he goes, you go. Fine. Totally get that. But I just feel like, man, he needs to be close to the ball. And I think that's how you help with that as well.
Sure. Do you see Harbaugh in this defense going to have this guy in the box a lot more this year? So they know his
Yeah.
strength. Do you think they'll put him at linebacker some too, or because he's big enough to play?
Right. I could totally see it. To me, this is a defense that moves a lot of guys around, and they wear a lot of hats, kind of, but it's also just kind of all disguised. And it feels like guys were always playing to their strengths. Like you think about, Sainer still and how good he was, and they did it last year without a Jabbo, without Aiden Hutchinson. Like last year, it's not like they had these dominant ends, and yet they
Right.
still got the sacks,
Agreed.
still got the pressures. They still were crushing guys at Michigan. So like there is something, I think, to this scheme, and a reason why a lot of people are going to be trying to run it this year in the NFL, why a lot of people are plucking assistance from the Ravens and from, John Harbaugh's staff to see if they could try and, get a piece of it because of how well it worked.
Well, super. I can't wait
Yeah.
to get out there and watch with you. Switching gears to the offensive side of the ball, what'd you see today, at practice today? I know we talked about defense this whole 30 minutes, but real quick, what'd you see kind
Yeah.
of offensively?
And I'm looking down because I just got all the stuff I was writing down. So I'm just trying to kind of.
Sure.
So
No worries.
I saw that they needed O'Neal out, that they needed Lorenzo Neal out there. That's what I saw, because Ben Mason was still working on the side. So no fullback out there, and no Will Dissly. I know he could probably play some fullback. He did that up in Seattle, but
Right.
so that, not a lot of that. I mean, look, with the receivers, what are you looking for? You're looking for Quentin to catch the ball, right? Is he
Right.
over? He had a couple drops today. He had a couple really nice catches today. So some good, some bad. Had one really nice on an out. Herbert threw a laser, and he was able to snatch that as he was coming across the field. I mentioned that in front of Cam Hart. He also had one nice one on the sideline. Had a pretty bad drop on a third down. But they believe in him. They're excited about him. Joe Ortiz put his name on him, and said, we were going to take him in the first round. So it's not like he's coming in and saying, not my guy, not my problem. He said, look, we loved him in Baltimore. We think he can be great. I think DJ Chark, we already talked about that. I think DJ Chark's going to be good. I think he's got juice. And that's the thing, Lo, like about the receiver room. And I'm not taking a shot at Mike or Keenan. They're just different types of receivers, but the room's got juice. Like the room has not had
Yeah.
juice,
Right.
like
Right.
legit speed. Lad McConkey has got juice, man. He is a legit 4.39 guy. He runs
Really?
precise, pristine routes. He is exactly the type of receiver that Herbert loves. DJ Chark is a legit 4.3 guy. He's 6'2", 6'3". Go back and watch the tape at Carolina. He's breaking ankles. He's busting guys up on double moves. That's juice, and
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to help a lot this year.
Did you see anybody beat this? Did you watch any receivers? Did they do any man-to-man? Watching guys get off
Yeah.
the jam, does anybody stand out, say, okay, this guy can beat press coverage?
Yeah, Cornelius Johnson had a bad drop. He was able to beat. He got a step, and Herbert threw him a beautiful dime, and it just bounced off his hands. And it's like, okay, here's a guy who runs, low 4.4s. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. And, that's what you got to work on. That's how you end up getting him in the 7th round. So let's work on that. Brendan Rice had a real nice move. Left sideline. Made a little bit of a kind of like not a double move, but almost like a shimmy just to create a tiny bit of space and then track the ball over his shoulder, hauled it in. That was nice. So, yeah, other than that, it's hard, right, when they're not in full pads and it's, but at the same time, those are the things that kind of stood out to me. There's let me find it. No, that's not it. Hold on. I'm going to this, by the way, listen.
What about my hat? You forgot about my hat, brother.
Oh,
I'm wearing
I love your hat. I love your hat.
Come on, baby. Give me my hat. Give me my hat read.
I got this is my OG one. This is the one my wife's not in the room anymore. She bought me this for Christmas, I think like 2.5 years ago. So this is my OG Melin. As you can see, it's a little worn because I wear it in the water quite a bit, but it still looks brand new. So this is kind of the old logo. You can see Lowe's got, I think they still make this logo, by the way, but Lowe's got the new one. We love Melin. This is our last, I Bleav we got, this may end the 30% right now. So please take advantage of it. They're great hats. We love them. MELIN is what it is. MELIN.com/Chargers. That is the code, or that's the URL, MELIN.com/Chargers. They're high-end hats. They do not go on sale. They are on sale now because of us. And they love the Chargers. They love what we're doing here, and that's why they partner with us. So we hope if you're in the market for a hat, Lo, I know you love yours. I see you wearing them all the time now. If you're in the market for a hat, it's great. If you wash it, it's spring. This thing's been washed a million times because I take it into the salt water all the time. I wear it so I can keep the sun off my face. Don't want to get the skin cancer when I'm in the water for 2-3 hours. So it's great on that front, and it's built for the water. It's built for sweat. You're never, look at that thing. This thing is 2 years old, and you can see there are no sweat stains on it whatsoever.
Yes.
Yeah, none. So Melin, MELIN.com/Chargers. It's a way to support the podcast, support us. We're super proud to be partnered up with them because they're big Charger fans and we love their product. So just super comfortable. And again, 30% off. So at least go check it out. Shop around, see if there's anything that jumps out at you. MELIN.com/Chargers is the way. And this is our 4th week. And they said it was a 30-day code. So let's get after it. Thanks for bringing that up. But I said, Lo, I want people to think that yes. Am I old? Yes. But look how small this font is. All right.
I love it.
Look how small it is. So let me just get in here.
Put those bifocals on, baby. There you go. Put those old man readers on. Put those
old man readers on. Let me get in here real
on.
quick, and we'll make sure I give him his flowers here. Zach Hines, undrafted free agent tight end out of South Dakota State, Sodak State. He's big. He moves well. This could be again.
Sleeper?
Tip of the cap to Daniel Popper from The Athletic. He and I were hanging out most of the day today, and we were talking about the guys that we liked. And Hines is one of them. 6'7". He's a big dude, and he moves well. Had a real nice catch downfield. Unfortunately, I can't remember who it was. Tried to knock the snot out of him. Might have blown up his AC joint. He threw him to the ground so hard. But he moves well. So that's. And we know tight ends are going to be important here. So that's one I think to keep an eye on. He raised his hand a little bit. And, again, because of the way they're practicing, it's kind of hard. So really someone's got to really jump out at you to kind of stand out. And I'll say this, you look at and you know this better than any, you can speak to it. Like Isaiah Spiller is built so different than everybody else. I think people that are writing him off, I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. He's big. Like he is a big back. I don't know what his. See, now I'm going to make myself do it again. I don't know.
Do it again. Grab it. It's okay. I like Stiller. I think
6'1", 215, and he's all of that. So he's a big back.
Is he moving well? I mean, injuries and stuff. What do you see?
He just looks so different out there, Lo. You look at every other back, and it's like, Vidal is 5'7", and this guy's 5'8", and this guy's 5'10", and then bam, who is that freaking giant of a human? And it's like, okay, there's a reason why. And remember, when he was drafted, he was the youngest player in the draft. He had not even turned 20 yet, I think is what it was. So like he was a week away from his 20th birthday. So he's not one of these, double red shirt in high school kids before putting in big work at A&M. So I would be very surprised. I think you're probably talking Dobbins, Edwards, Vidal, and Spiller. I think they all make it. He's built so different. I'd be
Right.
very surprised if this group that wants to run the ball as much as they do, didn't want to keep him around.
Oh, you're going to have to keep some. You're going to have to keep 4 or 5 backs just because the system and the wear and tear that you're going to have. You know it just well as I do. Harbaugh's going to run the ball and he's
Yeah.
going to pound the ball. So you're going to have guys each week. The guys are going to have a opportunity to shine because Harbaugh's going to give plenty of these backs an opportunity. So I'd be surprised if they don't keep 4 to 5 backs. Sometimes teams keep 3 or 4. And I wouldn't be surprised if they even go 5 because of the fact
Yeah.
of keeping the fullback as well. Because they're going to be a team that's going to beat guys up. No
Yeah, and I think
question.
the fullback is probably going to find his way into the tight end room. I think, they said that about Ben Mason when they signed him, and now he's hurt already. So I don't know what the plan is there. But Disley, like we said, can play some fullback. We saw McFadden playing fullback last year as an offensive
Right.
lineman. So there's a lot of different ways you can skin that cat. I'll finish with this, Low. Special teams, watching that new kickoff and watching them work through it. It is wild. It is wild. Troy Dye talked to us today, and he was obviously signed. A couple interceptions. He's playing great linebacker, but he's also a core special. He's going to be a core 4 guy. And he was talking about how weird it is and how,
It's got to be.
he's like, look, there's going to be some explosives on this kickoff the first 3 weeks. He's like, it's just there's nothing like it. It's not like anything you've ever done before. And he's like, there's going to be returns. There's going to be turnovers. He's like, it's too weird. It's too different. And and he's like, and that's one of the interesting things, right? Like, are you putting all your starters out there in the preseason just for kickoffs, just to get that work out of it? Because when else you can't work on it with yourself. Like,
No,
that doesn't work that way.
no.
So, joint practices, I guess, a little bit, but preseason, that's another reason why I think we'll see some starters out there on these kickoffs. And you'll see, hey, let's try this Cam Dicker. Let's directional punt it. Let's put it, on this side, that side, middle, like figure out what's the best way for us to approach this.
Oh,
So,
no question.
yeah, he was saying what
And
a challenge it was.
and Harbs, real quick, Harbs, he's going to put his starters out there. Harbaugh's not going to go, okay, the starters are just going to play one series
Yeah.
or, he's going to, you're trying to build a dynasty, but you're also trying to change a culture. You're not trying to say, guys, we're waiting to the season. You want to see what you got. Harbaugh's, I wouldn't be surprised to say, guys, we're going to play you till I tell you to come out. So get your mind right. Don't look at this as regular preseason. Guys, we're trying to get ready to win us a Super Bowl. And this is what it's going to take to do it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm visualizing, and I could be wrong, but I think he's just going to go out there and he's going to get guys to play. He needs them to play early and show what they can do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'll wrap with this, though. I would love to kind of get your feedback because, it's voluntary, it's OTAs, it like what is it? Like how important is it? What is it that's going on over these phase 2, phase 3? We got voluntary next week, and then we got mandatory vet mini camp the week after that. Like, what are we getting to here? These 3-day chunks.
Absolutely. These 3-day chunks are imperative that guys get it down because you got to realize, even though you're going through it now, and that's why you're talking about how intense and how practice is, you're like, man, they're flying around, they're already going. When minicamp comes, watch, money, they're going to even turn it up a little bit more. And you're
Right.
going to see guys going quicker at it in and out of the huddle. You better learn this. You better stay in extra time right now. You want to put in extra, meet with your position coach, do the things you want to do, because when training camp comes and mini camp come, it's going to be a different speed. You're going to be going with a lot more velocity, and coach is going to be yelling a lot more. They're going to be on you. These are these mandatory mini camps when those get here for the veterans. That's what this is about. This is about building up, saying, okay, guys, when we get the mini camp, I want you guys to learn these systems. I want this system to be in. I want guys to take the play. So OTAs, you getting it in now, getting that classroom work in, getting it, because mini camp with those that is going to be a lot more faster, a lot more speed up and up tempo, right? Because you're building for training camp. Because when training camp comes, this team is not going to say, oh, we got to implement this, implement that. Hey, we didn't do that in OTAs. No, that's not what Harbaugh has got. You got to realize, money. We and you both talk about this team wants to win now. I'm not saying necessarily a Super Bowl, but they're saying we're not leaving any rock unturned. So that's what this is about. OTAs is about building for minicamp. Minicamp's about building for training camp, that you're ready to go. Once training camp comes, these guys are ready to go. They know the system. They're not sitting here saying, oh, we got to add this in. That's what this is about. OTAs, get it in.
set the foundation so you can hit the
Yep.
ground running. And
Yep.
then you can go take your vacation for 6 or
Absolutely.
7 weeks and then get back and let's get after it. It's fun out there. It's fun out. They'll do another 2 days this week. Like we said, 3 days next week, then 3 more. And then it's gonzo for 6 weeks when they take off before training camp starts. Always fun. Love it, Lo. Get your Melin hats. Don't forget the OG here. I got it with my
I love it. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
Put it on like that. Make sure.
Hey, you got swag. You got swag. You got swag money. You got swag.
Exactly. This is the OG one. So melin.com/Chargers. We love them. BetOnline. Thank you everybody for downloading, listening. Appreciate it. Tip of the cap to Lindsay for shuffling some things around today to make this thing work so we can get
You're
out
the
to
best,
practice.
Lindsay.
And we will be back again next week. Thanks everybody.
Cheers.